Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Sunday night. We've got just one episode left. We have to break down what just happened on Season 7, Episode 15, Something They Need, Walking Dead on AFTERBUZZ TV. Hang out with us. We'll see you in just 1 second.
The destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I just had a stroke.
Amazing.
Oh boy, that was great.
Guys? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Sunday night. We're back, AFTERBUZZ TV, talking Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 15, Something They Need. We're so close, guys. Only one extended edition episode left of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, did you notice they didn't tell us how long that is either?
Yeah,
They
what is
just said
extended?
extended.
Really?
Yeah.
Does that mean like
90 minutes?
75 minutes? Does it
minutes?
mean 2 hours?
They probably were like, the last time we went extended edition on this, it didn't get rated that well, but people tell me the extended Batman vs. Superman is better, so maybe this is going to be like 2 hours and 40 minutes or something
Those
like that.
people were wrong.
No comment.
Don't trust any of those people ever.
They're like, you didn't like the 2 hours and 37 minutes version, watch 3.5 hours. We promise you'll like it more.
It gets better.
Yeah.
There's extended bathtub scenes.
Really?
That's what I've heard. I won't
Oh,
watch it.
jeez.
Yeah.
Guys, welcome to the show. We're talking Walking Dead and going on tangents already.
Yes.
So this was a good episode, I thought, just right out the gates. I was happy with it. It's one of the few times recently watching the show where I've really walked away from just being like, this is what I want my episodes of the show to feel like.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
watching it, we were all really enjoying it. It didn't really feel like there were any like slow points or nitpicks or anything like that. It was just all around really fun, really great pacing too. Like all of a sudden we were like 3/4 of the way through the episode, and I was like, oh wow, it happened the right way.
What do you guys think?
I actually thought it was a really solid episode. I typically I wanted a little bit more blood and gore, but you know what? I was fine with it actually because the way they set it up today, I was pretty happy with, and it also reminded me of how well the writing is on the show because there's so many one-liners. If you know when you're listening to what they're saying, it was solid. I was happy.
Your favorite one-liner got repeated twice. Too,
it did. It did.
Yeah, no, I really liked it too. I think it's setting us up well for the finale. And I think you were mentioning it like, oh, we're like getting all those storylines together because I feel like a lot of this season we were kind of separated a little bit. So now we're starting to get everyone together. And definitely, obviously next week we're going to see everyone together, so it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into that, guys, if you want to follow along in the conversation, you can find each one of us on Twitter. You can find me at Ben Bateman Media. My name is Ben Bateman.
The John Carle, TheJohnCarle on Twitter, Instagram, and Whiskey and Waffles on YouTube. And my name is John Carle, not Whiskey and Waffles.
Sweet.
And you can find me at Susannah_Kim, SUSANNAH_KIM.
You said that so sweet and like it was like a song. I feel like
Now
birds
do
should
your
be flying
best
after
sweet
you.
song version.
I cannot follow that. I'm just gonna say it's my name, Derrial Christon. Thanks for joining us today. DERRIALCHRISTON, and I am on the chat. So let me know what you're saying, and I will repeat it on the show.
Social media correspondent. So
That's right.
I got 2 questions. One, is there an inherent problem when you introduce somebody like Negan, who's supposed to be the big bad, and you know that you have to make your whole like main cast of characters very submissive the entire season? Is there a problem with taking a whole half season to do it? Because it kind of makes us like longer than that, actually, an entire season, right?
I mean, it was roughly the whole season.
Yeah, it's pretty much the entire season.
It kind of makes your main characters really weak and unexciting for like an entire season of TV.
I don't know. I think, with the group, there were a few people that did fully submit, like your Eugenes and stuff like that, but they weren't truly submissive. They're giving him the impression they're submissive, but if they were really submissive, they wouldn't be organizing all these communities together. And even though some were more successful than others, they're still working against him, even though he's not fully aware of it until this episode.
Sure. Yeah. What do you guys think? Do you think I mean, it was kind of a weird, wonky, like down season a little bit.
Yeah.
And do you think that that's like just goes with the territory if you're gonna do something like that with a big bad?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, since we've been in this with this Negan guy, I just feel like it's not this Negan dude. I love him, but it's more realistic, I guess, because we can't always have our heroes being on top all the time. I think it makes it more exciting to have them to have somewhere to go, I guess.
Yeah.
So now that we hit rock bottom, sort of, we can now work our way up, and it builds for a more exciting 8th season, I think.
We will rise, right?
Yeah, I think they've been trying to give him so many layers from what we saw when he was introduced to the show. I mean, we obviously, it was such a big build-up with the Negan character coming in. In this season, I mean, I think because we saw him destroy so many people the first half last year, that now seeing him this way, I think they're just trying to give him some layers, so we kind of feel some type of attachment to him.
Yeah, I would say my biggest complaint for the season was the pacing. I think that there were too many lull episodes that went down, especially in the first half, because there were just certain extended episodes that I didn't feel needed to be extended. But I thought the way that they handled the characters and being subversive rather than submissive, I thought was keeping it true to those characters. I don't think they fully gave in and became like wimps to it, other than the ones that you knew were going to, like a Eugene.
Right. So we're going to get into the full episode, guys, but before we do, I have one other question to ask you. Did any of you guys see the Ross Marquand video that got put up 3 days ago, the impressions video? He's the guy that plays Aaron. Ross Marquand.
No, I didn't see it.
This will take Aaron for you in a whole new light. It's
You're supposed to like text us this stuff.
I know. You didn't tweet it. Tag us in that.
Unbelievable impressions video I've ever seen, ever. I can we actually just cue it up for later in the episode on YouTube? If you look up Ross Marquand Esquire,
we shouldn't.
What?
We should like copyright stuff. We shouldn't.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, it's on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you guys should go look it up because it's awesome. It'll make you laugh your pants off. He does like famous lines from movies, but in the voice of other famous actors. Christopher Walken doing The Sixth Sense, things like that.
I'll check it out.
Jack Nicholson doing Taken. You'll lose it.
And then to answer your question earlier about when we were talking about what does extended mean, C Party 247365. That's a hell of a party. He or she said next week's episode is an hour and 25 minutes.
Okay.
So.
Exciting.
Normal.
Okay, so that's, I mean, the episodes right now are an hour and 5 anyway, so that's
So
all right, cool.
Yeah,
it's your standard extended. So let's jump right into where this starts. You get Rick and the gang, and they're kind of making their way to Oceanside. We knew this was a thing that was going to happen. We were building towards this, and you get kind of like these like little, you're doing the thing everybody's watching. They're showing us like an angle, right? So you've got like Carle, and he's talking to Enid, and Enid asks him the question, do you ever see the faces or think of the names of the people that you've killed? And Tara just like looks over, and I can see the wheels turning in her head. She's like, Jesus, this is what you kids are like when you're kids. That's the kind of questions you're asking each other. Not like, do you want to come over and hang out, but like, do you remember the names of the people you've killed?
Right.
And you're like 15.
Such a different world.
Yeah.
At least they're growing up. They're not being like self-absorbed. They're not being self-absorbed millennials like in a bad stereotype. At least they're realizing the gravity of the situation they're in.
Yeah. I don't think they have a choice, but yeah, that's true.
So we continue marching. We do get our first extended Aaron-Eric interaction in quite a while.
Yep.
Like, I guess this wasn't really extended. It's just they haven't really given much of those two characters together in quite a while.
It's been a minute.
You get like a couple lines or a look here and there.
I mean, not to skip ahead to predictions, but I think that means that one of them is biting it next week.
You think so?
Well, you did say that at the beginning of the show too. So
it's like, okay, we're giving them a moment together. Don't be happy in this show. The second you're happy, somebody you love or you is gonna die.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You almost wish the characters, in the context of the show, sometimes be like, stop being happy. You're gonna die.
Exactly.
But yeah, he's just like, look, I got it. I got what was on the menu, I can love you and be scared or I can join you and fight, because otherwise we're just all going to get killed and be under the thumb of Negan anyway, which was like a well-contained moment, because it was just like, this is everything I've been feeling and my realization in the course of 12 seconds of exposition.
Literally.
True, yeah.
Right.
It gave them a nice moment.
Yeah, it's like everything you needed.
To prep for him dying.
To prep for him dying.
Yeah.
So we make our way to Oceanside, and Tara is hiding behind the door. She surprises Natanya and the other character whose name is not written down in front of me. Cindy, yes, the one who saved her life. And I kind of couldn't believe Tara got taken. Like, I couldn't really believe that, like, she starts to walk towards her, and Tara, like, actually was like, wait, no, I've been holding a gun on you, but you could, like, it just was one of those, like, come on, Tara. Like, of course she's going to try to disarm you. What are you doing? You got to be more forceful. I guess she didn't have a bullet.
Well, she didn't have a bullet. I mean,
do?
what's she going to do? Pistol whip her?
Right.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
I guess you're right.
I think it was kind of part of Tara's plan to do it the way she did.
No, the only piece of that scene that was like a little strange to me is the whole timing of everything was dependent upon how long it took Natanya to get into the cabin.
Right.
Yes,
And then
I
it was
agree.
like a really short turnaround time for when she had to make that decision. I was like, okay, what if it just took her like 5 minutes more to get in there?
I know.
Or something like
Yeah.
that. Like, that was, I get it from a drama perspective, but it was really quick from a pace. Like if you're making somebody like literally decide to join your team for this war that's going to break out, and Chris Logel, sorry if I'm saying it wrong, on Twitter was like, isn't this kind of the worst way to win over Oceanside? I feel like it was such a quick ultimatum that that was probably one of the worst ways to win over Oceanside.
I don't think they had like a great choice, and I think Tara was probably pretty clear with Rick. You know, like they're not messing around. They have heavy firepower, so if we get any pushback, if I'm in there for longer than 4 minutes, you got to just go.
You got to go.
You know, and I got that part
sense.
of it. Right.
Everybody in the chat, well, a lot of people in the chat are saying that Tara was a wimp. I don't necessarily think that she was so much a wimp, though.
She didn't have a bullet. That's the thing. Is the bottom line is she couldn't fire a warning shot at their feet.
But she is a younger woman in a fight with an older woman.
Yeah.
I mean, she could have done something. Like, she really didn't do anything in that scenario.
Yeah. I think it's also like her personality, you know? I think because she is so trusting of them, I think she really saw it going the other way. Yeah. She wasn't expecting that.
She really didn't want to have to deal with the opposition,
And people keep asking, where's Heath? Because they said Tara didn't mention anything about Heath.
He's on 24.
I'm like, he's on 24.
Literally, someone said that he's on 24.
Literally, someone just said that. Yes, literally.
Garrison Wortham.
Garrison, that's right.
He just disappeared. So that is like one of the bummers, I think, of when you're on a high-profile show like this that's an ensemble and you do book another show. It's really, really hard to do both shows, and you know, in some cases, fans get so attached to these supporting characters that like it can really hurt the show sometimes. Luckily, I don't think that's. I don't think
anybody got attached to Heath. I mean, he was. But I mean, he was there.
Like last season, like Alicia Debnam Carey left the 100 to go do Fear the Walking Dead, and that turned out to be like one of the big fiascos because ultimately she was like, I'm going to do the bigger show and I have a starring role, so my supporting character in this show is going to end. But you know, the fans didn't take it that way.
And John, Lid Bellini 86 disagrees with you. They said Heath lives matter hashtag Heath lives matter. So
I'm not,
he's gonna come back.
I'm not gonna argue. I'm just saying I don't think there's a big contingent of people supporting him. There are some. I don't think it's a massive fandom. It's not like if Daryl dies, we riot.
No, he's gonna be back. Like they're going to find an episode where they can schedule it with his schedule to work, and they'll write him back in. But it's probably just down the line.
Or kill him in it.
Yeah, or kill him. Exactly. So they get to Oceanside. The explosions start going off, and it's like straight up, just like tactically perfect. Michonne's up in the tree, and but then it gets stopped for a second as Natanya's got Tara. She's got her, and she's got the gun to her head. And were you guys I was like pretty much positive that Michonne was going to take her out.
No, Michonne is not a good enough shot yet. She we've seen her snipe one thing and it was a can.
Right.
If I was Tara, it's not, hey, don't kill her because I don't want you to kill Natanya. Literally, I don't trust you to take that shot, and I know that everybody's going to hate me for saying it. I don't trust her as a sniper yet.
Right. That was pretty badass.
Yeah, I mean,
she was shaking the gun. No, I don't trust her with that.
She was shaking. For me, I'm glad she didn't, because if she did, I think a lot of us would have had a hard time accepting that she would make such a vicious decision. Exactly. That was very savage of it. Even the way it was going off, I felt like it was kind of, aren't you guys behaving sort of like the saviors in a way? You're coming, you're collecting, you're leaving them with nothing to defend themselves. So I kind of felt a little torn. I was like, wait, who are the good guys here? You know.
Well,
so
I mean, that's part of the whole show, though. It's not
ethical thing.
It's the shades of gray, because is it wrong to leave them without their guns? Probably, but what they're going to do is save them from being under the thumb of the saviors, so they come back with whatever guns are left over. These people don't even have to fight.
Right. I wish they had expressed that more. Like, we will protect you when we come back. This is how the future will be. It's not going to be like this. You know. I just felt like
I think it's a little bit of catch-22 though, because, and I'll let you jump in here, Derrial, in just 1 second. But I think it's like, okay, so they're like, you're leaving us with nothing, but then you can say back to that, well, your whole point was to hide in the woods and not get found by the saviors. They don't know where you are, so that's how you're surviving with all these guns that they would have taken. And if they do ever find you, you're going to have to fight the saviors with these guns to survive.
There's still walkers out there and other people out there, though. It's not just the saviors are fighting. They need some sort of defense,
some type of protection.
And they're all women.
Sure, they
like,
have
come
knives
on.
and that kind of thing.
I know,
they're all women and young,
you want your guns
little girls
to be able to fight if you need to. So it's like, if you're gonna claim you need the guns for protection to fight if you need to, then take the guns and go fight. You need to. Like that's kind of, in my opinion, when I'm listening, I'm like, the attitude of, no, you take our guns, you leave us here, we're gonna stay and not fight, is wrong, because it's like eventually you're going to have to fight.
That I get.
And I never really honestly felt that Natanya was really going to shoot Tara.
I agree.
I never thought she would.
No, I didn't think so either, but, well, actually, there was a quick second where I thought she was going to shoot her in the cabin. Where right when she turned the gun on her, I thought she was just going to take her out.
Really?
Maybe shoot her in the shoulder.
Like right in that spot?
Yeah, just right there. Like, we let you go once and you screwed us.
Once she was out in front of everybody, I didn't think she was going to, because I think she still needs to be the matriarch of that community. And if, it's like Tara said, if you shoot and kill me, you're dead.
Yeah, right.
and she wasn't going to pull the trigger on that.
Well, and the way Natalya was talking, she was ranting and raving, and she was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to die, and it's going to be worth it. I was kind of thinking that Michonne was going to hear that, and Michonne was just going to do it. That's like where I thought that scene was maybe going.
Well, I actually thought what was going to happen is when Michonne sees the walker behind them, that she was going to shoot the walker, and then maybe in that moment, Natalya would have had a reaction. Something would have popped off there. That's where
It would have reminded me a lot of the whole Beth death, though, where it was like a shot that shouldn't have killed ended up being a kill shot kind of thing, and there would have been a weird sort of parallel to that.
And the chat is agreeing with you guys that they think Rick's group is very much like the Saviors, more like bullies in this particular episode. So
just here, but I like that though, you know, because like you were saying, that's what the show is about.
But they gave him an opportunity, and it wasn't. We're not making you join us in the same way that the Saviors are overseeing people and being dictators over people. It's we're giving you the opportunity to fight back because we know they killed all of your people. And if you choose not to do it, we're not going to kill you. We're not going to put you into this submissive thing. We're just taking your guns right now.
Right. It's survival.
It's a right now scenario versus we're going to rule you forever.
It's survival of the fittest with shades of gray. That's what you were saying. It's like, it's basically everybody in this world has to make the decision at some point, which is if I'm going to survive, somebody will be stronger than me and force my hand at some point. So I either have to be the person who's the aggressor and force someone else's hand, but they are choosing to do it in a non-violent way, which is the difference between them and the Saviors. The Saviors do it in a violent way if they have to.
Yeah.
Well, non-violent, but with explosions and guns.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the Saviors in some ways are kind of non-violent, except for when they have to enact like an example. But otherwise, like,
I don't know. You have a lot of sadists in that group.
Yeah, I would disagree with that. I don't think that I think that they will pull that trigger anytime, at any moment.
Yeah, I guess they are pretty violent.
Yeah. I'm like,
you guess?
Yeah.
I'm like just last week's episode or 2 episodes.
This episode.
This episode too. Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah. Could we talk about Rapey Dave?
Right.
So basically, but it ends with this fight. They fight this big pack of walkers, which looked like a lot more walkers than they killed. Actually, they seemed to be over pretty fast. And also, this is a thought that I had, guys. You know how like they all have the automatic rifles? I know you can fire a single shot.
Yeah.
I kept thinking every time one person would fire off like 4, 5, 6 rounds at one walker's head. Don't you guys want to conserve bullets? Like, aren't you close enough and good enough shots to shoot one walker in the head with one bullet? Turn, shoot another one. Turn, shoot another one.
I honestly wasn't paying enough attention to that.
I mean, I agree.
I kept thinking 6 shots to one head seems like kind of a waste of bullets.
I did think that they were making a lot of noise for because normally they would do hand-to-hand combat for that small group. Well,
I mean, at that point, you already had enough noise from explosions. At that point, I don't think a few more bullets was going to make a difference.
Right.
Like the explosions were going off miles around. You were hearing that. So
but,
I thought the walkers looked cool as hell, though. Honestly.
The barnacle walkers.
The barnacle
walkers.
Yeah.
Super badass.
And it reminded me kind of of Fear a little bit.
Yeah, right.
That same kind of Walker-ish, maybe because of the water.
The coastal thing,
I have no memory of this Fear. I don't know what you're talking about.
You've deleted that from your brain?
How far did you get on that show, Derrial?
I'm caught up fully.
Do you like it?
I go in waves with that show.
You're 50-50?
I'm actually 60-40.
Oh, you like it?
Yeah, it came back to 60 towards the end.
Okay.
I've fallen off to 50-50 somewhere in the middle, but I ended with the 60-40.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So all right, so yeah, they take out this big group of walkers, and that seems to be the inciting moment where they get Oceanside, like at least to be somewhat their ally. Like
I mean, I think part of what they did, which was the right way to do it, was actually giving the people in the group who were fighters a weapon so that they could fight alongside each other.
Yeah.
And I think what they were trying to do is show we are on the same side.
Right.
And then it's still Natalya who is the one who messes it all up by not agreeing to it, but they were basically showing like, and forgive me for forgetting the names of the 2 main fighter girls from Oceanside, but it's like we can fight alongside each other and we're good when we do it.
It's definitely going to be an End of Two Towers, Gandalf showing up on the hill situation. They're going to show up and help. There's no question in my mind. They're hanging back, and the battle's going to be happening, and it's going to be Gandalf riding down the hill. That's what it's going to happen. I mean, they don't have the horses or
the level of power.
Yeah, but I still think they're going to show up and be the extra.
In all white.
Also, they don't have the majority of their arsenal anymore.
Yes,
that makes it a little more difficult.
I believe that's what's going to happen, though. So anyway, they're leaving, and we get one great moment though, which is Rachel.
The flip
You're not
off.
leaving us with anything?
I love that.
I miss Rachel. I love that little psycho.
That was great. Tara, I don't have to feel bad.
Yeah.
Right. As she walks away, she's like, what did she say? She said, do we get to keep a gun, or are you taking all the guns?
And she's
like, nope. Bing, the bird, baby.
Yeah, that was great.
And kept walking, kept it moving. I loved it.
So now in the other part of the world, we have two other storylines going on. I think we'll start with Maggie and we'll end with Sasha. So there's a weird. He's gonna try to kill her. That's clear. He's like, there's clearly like our number one shit weasel, Xander Berkeley, is on board with trying to take out Maggie at some point. He's contemplating how he's gonna do it, and Maggie's out there, and our dude, he's gotta.
Here's the thing, man. If he can't take out a
Walker, how is he gonna take out? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal your point.
No,
but
you're
I
totally
feel you
right.
on that. I was like, how the hell is he gonna take her out?
Because
he's afraid of a Walker.
He's too scared to take out something that is trying actively to kill him. How is he gonna take out something like another human? Because
took that out.
there's a level of separation you feel to a Walker that it's no longer a human.
Right.
He hasn't killed anything. That's obvious.
And she's pregnant. So
And
it's
she's
like,
pregnant.
So there's a whole other
There's
twist.
a whole
in
other
Demented
twist.
Yeah, it's a double homicide at that point.
Well, I think so. So what I think with Gregory, what's
I'm not wrong.
This
Don't
is what I
stop
think's
laughing at me, Derrial.
so he goes out there and he's looking at his knife, and it looks like he's going to try to just take her out. And you knew that if he tried to do that, it wasn't going to succeed.
Yeah.
What I did think was maybe was going to happen is that he was going to do the thing where he walked up and she's like, oh, I can't fight off this Walker. And then she walks over and he like tries to throw it at her, kind of
Right,
thing.
yeah, I can see that.
And then she's like, you tried to kill me. That's like maybe one angle that I thought we were going towards.
Yeah, that was kind of where I thought it was going to be like, oh yeah, you should be the one to take this out. But it was kind of great seeing him prove that he's never done any of this before, and then it blowing up in his face as everybody's like coming back from that like gatherer party, and she's like, yeah, he's never done this before, he's learning, and I'm just like, wow, that is the biggest bus you could have thrown him under.
Right?
And immediately they're all like, yeah, that's not what he told us.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
But
almost like
I love the whole scene.
I almost felt like Maggie looked over and she's like, he pooped his pants. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's good.
Pretty much.
He pooped his pants. It's all
He's gonna
good
walk
though.
it off. He'll be fine.
We're all safe.
Well, the funny thing is, I was telling them, I didn't think that the old Gabriel I'm referencing right now, when I did not like the old Gabriel. Gabriel stepped up his game a little bit, but now Gregory has turned into the way I feel about the old Gabriel.
Okay.
Sorry, I was getting there, Ben.
Okay.
Mix
I
the
knew
names
we
up
were
sometimes.
getting
So I
No.
thought you were doing it
No.
too.
I literally am like, Gregory makes my skin crawl.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I wanted him to go down, so I was hoping that he would get taken out by a Walker today. Honestly,
See, I at least feel like, even though I've always disliked the character, and I'm with you on that side, there were redeeming individual qualities about Gabriel.
Right.
But Gregory has literally nothing redeeming about him.
No.
There's no part about that guy that when I see whatever happens to him, because we know something is going to happen to him, that I'm gonna have any bit of remorse, like F that guy.
Guys,
Sure,
I know that it doesn't. I know everybody doesn't like it when I use the phrase that I use to describe him. I use it a lot, but I got it. The reason I do it is because that's what he is. When you're that character in a movie, or in a TV show, when you are that character, that's like 100% what you are, and there's no escaping it. Xander Berkeley is the ultimate one of those. I won't say it again because that makes you uncomfortable.
you see John, he's all tense right now.
Yeah.
I'm just like
It's
And
coming
then
up in the
my
chat. They're
get the
saying it
knife
for
ready.
you.
They're saying it for you, but here's my thing too: is especially after it was revealed that he hasn't even killed a Walker. Do you even how, as someone who is under his leadership, even respect him after that?
No,
I wouldn't even listen to anything he had to say after
Right?
that. I'm like, here it is. I'm out here. I've killed a Walker, and you're supposed to be this leader.
He calls
and
his boy in who's like outside his door, and when you say that, how is somebody supposed to respect him?
Yeah.
I'm like, how does this guy still act as like basically your door guard assistant? Like, how is there
Right.
somebody
Oh,
actually
no.
willing to hang
If
out outside
if I
your
was
door?
one of those guys who just came back and was like, oh, he never did anything, I'd be like, cool. You know what I'm doing tonight? Grabbing a bottle of booze.
Yeah, give me your
Yeah,
scotch.
right?
Yeah.
Give me your scotch, man. You know, like that's what I would say. So yeah, but I think he's realizing that he's losing the grip.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
he kicked off his throne
And
for sure.
so that's why he's gonna head to the Savior's compound, right? That's what we all think he's doing.
Yeah, I think that's pretty a safe assumption after, hey, we're gonna go for a ride, and he's pulling out a map and stuff like it's a super telegraph move right there.
Yeah, definitely. So that'll be, and I think that's where he's gonna go reveal.
Well, I think what we haven't seen is, I think at that point he actually already has, because when fast forward to Negan, he's like, a little birdie has told me. I think because they didn't show him doing it.
Yeah.
That's why they tried to give us the impression that it was Eugene that threw them under the bus.
Got it.
But I think it was actually Gregory who just got there.
Oh yeah, it's a smart idea.
I could get with that.
So he doesn't actually. So it would mean that Negan doesn't know the full extent.
Yeah,
But-
he only knows what Gregory has told him.
Which is looser.
Yeah.
So all right, so then we transport over to Negan's compound,
Yep.
and we start out with
Rapey
a
Dave.
really rapey scene, which was like, but like it took me about 25 seconds into it where I was like, this is so gross. I hate when they do this on TV, to like, oh, I know exactly where this is going. This is to prove a point. This is not going to get very far. This guy's going to die in the next 5 minutes, and Negan's going to kill him.
Well, as soon as he leaned down, they started laughing because I'm like, headbutt. And Derrial was like,
I was hoping for something more violent.
Yeah,
I wanted her to bite off his nose or bite off a piece of his cheek or his lip or something. You know, he tries to go in and kiss her or something, and she bites his whole lip off.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's way my mind works. But, you know.
Yeah. But thankfully, they teased the rape card, and then he died. So that was
Yes.
that was great.
It was deserved. Just as a character, and I think it does a good job of Negan's statement of we're not monsters, because in this new world the definition of a monster has changed in his mind.
Right.
So he is still a dictator and authoritarian figure and everything like that, and he takes the most extreme measures on that, but in certain aspects he does still have a moral code.
I mean, Negan's like, it's funny because they describe him as an anti-hero. Really, he is definitely a villain, but he in some ways is an anti-hero, because if you put yourself in that survival of the fittest state of gray kind of mentality with this world, you can understand how a character like that is born, right? Like it's not that you get on board with what he's done. He's a total savage and a brute, but at the same time, you do understand that he gets it. If I do this thing brutally in front of people, it's going to make an example. It will scare them into staying in line.
Yeah, it's sociopathic behavior.
Yeah, but like Negan's not hateable in the same way that some villains on TV and in movies are hateable.
I totally agree.
He's a villain, but he is not pure evil. Right. That's the difference. He's lawful evil, not chaotic evil.
And that was like, he was the big baddie from the comics that they liked so much. They teased for so long. Everybody, I mean, that's the thing. The big Negan reveal was such a big deal because for so long all the fans were like, okay, this is a really good story, but when are we going to get the best part? When are we going to get the best villain, you know?
And then Glenn gets his face slammed in the comic, and none of us saw that coming.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the way they're portraying him now, I would say the governor is way more evil than Negan is, you know.
Well, yeah, he was an evil villain versus just a villain.
Yeah,
right.
He wasn't likable in any of the ways that they make Jeffrey Dean Morgan likable.
He still makes me laugh. That's the thing.
He's charming.
Like,
he's funny.
Like the governor was always uncomfortable at best.
I also think he was a significant,
like your typical villain.
I also think he was a significantly worse actor than Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I think that guy was like okay, but like not the best. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan's like,
I think it's also
just the difference of the character and the writing. Yeah, that's what I would say.
I mean, I don't think he was purposely not given moments to let you like him. Like he was the stereotypical, like, if this was the 1950s, he would have a mustache he would be twirling.
Right.
Whereas Negan is like your 1980s Frank Miller like runs of comic books, like where it's like I kind of get where the villain is coming from in certain aspects.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. So yeah, we open up though, and Sasha gets to meet Rapey Dave, and he tears her shirt. Negan.
Can we go jump back right before the Dave stuff though? I am a little disappointed we didn't find out a few more details about what happened, because if she's going in there with the gun, like, how many people did she wound? How many
She's
people?
got the silencer. We see her take one dude out on the way in.
Right, exactly. So we know that at least 2 people have been killed, definitely, because we saw them. It was the guy at the gate, and then the guy when she's going in. And she's getting chased down by a bunch of dudes with guns. There was definitely gunfire going off. Mm-hmm. I wonder if we're going to find out what the answer to that is, or if it just kind of it happened off screen and that's the easy way of doing it. But it's like, you know, she didn't even seem like she got beat down or anything like that. Like, she made it through to this point pretty unscathed.
I know, you like what, because I mentioned the GoldenEye thing last week. She goes in and she takes out the one dude with the silencer headshot. It's like a speed run. You're almost like, I want to know how many guys you ran inside and just took out before with like you got silencer headshot before you got knocked down, because I feel like it's got to be more than one. I don't know. It could only have, I mean, she didn't have a lot of time, because you see the whole Rosita like getting out of sight thing and stuff like that, and there were already 2 dudes running behind and back through that alleyway, and we heard machine gun fire going off, so it wasn't like it was even like more. There was time for more silence stuff to happen. She's also not wounded, which is crazy. Yeah, like at the very least, somebody had to like tackle her and overpower her. Right. Like, I can't picture her not having a bruise. Right. Well, and if the machine gun was going off and they caught her, you don't think that when they got up to her, they wouldn't have shot her at least in the leg or something? Well, I mean, it kind of proves their point that they're not monsters, and even the approach that they took with Eugene was so like, you know, kind of nice and passive, and so it I guess helps Negan's point. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like Negan, knowing who she is now, is like, okay, I'm gonna make her this offer. Right. Right. So, but it's like, if somebody, a single person,
like if you're a guard, you're not going to be like, oh, I wonder who that is. Oh, I wonder if Negan should let let Negan decide what happens to this person. If somebody's bringing a war to you, wouldn't you be going at them right now, like, and then worry about it after the fact? Like, and I'm saying I suspension of disbelief. She could have gotten to the point where she was without being killed or shot. I'll even go as far as saying I understand her not getting shot, but like at least like a cut on the lip or something.
Black eyes.
Okay.
Yeah.
She. I mean, I think that like the saviors to some degree, and everybody kind of now seems to be beginning to respect like. The Alexandrians are kind of like they're like the Unsullied or like one of the 300 or something. They're like
I mean, if I was one of the saviors, I still would have tried. I would have. She would have gotten bruised. Is all I'm saying.
No, not like that. I just mean that like I think Negan when he's like, oh, you were a part of Rick's crew. You guys are badasses. I'm gonna try to convert you. Because that's what you're worth a lot more to me than one of these softies who I found on the street who's willing to just like do my laundry.
Well, that's true.
Like you come in your guns ablazing, you got to be on my team.
But it's like a whole game with him because on the flip side of that, like, how do you really think that you're gonna change someone to your side when you basically destroyed two of their favorite people in their group
in the most brutal way possible.
In the most brutal way possible. How do you ever trust them, you know, and think that, oh, sure, they're going to smile on your face for maybe a year, but there's going to be that one day that they're going to gut your ass. You know what I mean?
It's like,
I would never trust that. I mean,
me too. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it's a crazy psychological game though, because he plays that same game with Dwight.
Yeah.
Takes his wife and then keeps him around as his like best friend. You know?
But you see where that's kind of getting him though.
Yeah,
you know, in the end.
But Dwight is at least acting in a subservient manner and stuff like that, and like, you know, he's done the face burn, so it's kind of like the beaten dog scenario with Dwight versus Eugene. You could tell Eugene is a wimp and is just going for self-preservation. Sure. I think if you have a girl who's tough enough to try to take a fight to your complex, like by as far as Negan's crew knows, by herself, like I don't trust that she's ever gonna make that turn. Like that's the turn I don't see because she's too much of a badass to convert. Like you could convert the wimp, you could convert the kid because he's young and impressionable and stuff like that. Yeah. But the girl who literally just took war to your compound, I don't know how you convert her.
I don't see it.
He's got some angle that he's imagining is going to work.
Dante Faris wants to know who everyone thinks told Negan about Rick's plans.
For me, Gregory.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense because how would Eugene know?
Yeah,
he wouldn't have any idea.
Gregory.
Right.
I think it's got to be Gregory. All right, so
or long shot, and I still side on Gregory. Maybe it's a setup by Dwight. That's the other option. I don't think that's the right answer, but I'm just throwing out devil's advocate of an additional option.
That could be. No. So all right, so Sasha basically Negan tries to sell her on this idea after she kills the walker. She keeps the knife. I thought that their whole conversation though between Negan and Sasha, I thought that was pretty interesting. The way that he explains everything. And kind of gives her these choices. Like I just generally liked the scene. Negan has had a problem for me this season a little bit in the sense that 50% of his scenes do this one note thing, which is like it's almost like there's no depth to what he's saying. He's just like saying nursery rhymes and trying to scare you. The scenes that I like are the ones like that where he's talking to her, where he's kind of really explaining like this is how it's gonna work. Yeah. If I were you, this is what I would do. Yep. And this is why logically it makes the most sense for you to do X, Y, or Z. But if you can't, I get it. I'm not going to let anyone rape you. That's not what's going to happen here. I think you're a badass, and I'd like to have you on my team. That's about as real with you as I can get.
Yep. Yeah. You know what I mean? I like that he told her she had, what, beach ball size lady nuts?
Yeah. Lady nuts.
You know, Twice. That was my favorite line. One of my favorite lines in the movie.
And he's talking about the heat coming off of them.
They keep coming off of them. And then the heat coming off of them. And then, John, you had referenced something about Dead or Alive.
Oh, yeah, there was some sort of, I forgot what the full, or Dead or Alive Rapey Dave was, I think, the phrase that he said. And it's interesting because the show is very careful to not reference zombies. Right. But Dead Alive is one of the, like, most well-known, like, zombie movies from before the zombie craze actually all hit. Right. So I thought it was, I don't know if it was intentional, but if it was, I like it because it was like, that's the closest you could get to saying zombie without saying zombie. Yeah. So I appreciated that.
So after that, we get Sasha hanging out overnight, and Eugene comes to talk to her. And, oh, man, this was a sad scene. Eugene trying to convince her. They're really just making Eugene the softest, most pathetic, just, like, not likable character on Earth. God, when he's ranting and raving to her, and then he finally says, he would have wanted you to. And there's
And
that
he's
look in her eyes.
He's
where,
like, no, he wouldn't.
There's that look in her eyes where you're like, are you just gonna kill Eugene right now? Are you just gonna stab him right now?
I would have loved it though. I mean, but he could have gone out many seasons before, as far as I'm concerned.
But then he changes. He literally says it. It's like a pause, and he's like, no, he wouldn't. He wouldn't.
No, I want you to stay.
Yeah.
And it's his own self-preservation, because yes, the saviors appreciate the work he's doing right now. He's the head engineer or whatever it is, but will there be a point where he's outlived his usefulness, and that's where he needs more allies? So I think for him, it's always still self-preservation, and that's why he wants somebody else on his side that hasn't killed him up until this point.
Right. And do you think legitimately that he brought that poison and had no clue that she really wanted him to bring a knife? You know what I mean? Like
No. I do.
You think that he?
I think he believed she just wants to off herself and isn't feeling the disappointment that she was hoping for a weapon. Like, I don't think he was smart enough to pick up on that, to be totally honest.
And I think that's why they had the conversation with the door between them, because he couldn't see her face to face, so it was harder for him to pick that up.
And even the way that we were seeing it, how it was shot, for the most part, you're only seeing Eugene and then hearing her voice, and and then when it cuts to the other side and we see her reaction to it, it's like, damn, he didn't get it.
She didn't get it.
Yeah.
I think he does know. This is. I think Eugene's way too smart to not consider all contingencies. I just think in his mind he's like, I can bring her this poison pill because it's the only one that doesn't put a weapon in her hand.
Yeah.
And it still gives her what she's asking for. Yeah. So it's like, I don't think that he's unaware of the fact that she might have wanted a weapon.
Right.
But I think in his mind he's like, this is my friend, someone I know, and the best thing I can do is give this poison pill. And if that's really what she wants, then that's what she's going to get.
Yeah.
But if she doesn't, she at least can't get me in trouble.
Yeah.
She can't throw a pill.
Yeah. Because that's what I was kind of thinking. I was like, I felt maybe he did kind of know, and he was thinking, if she gets out and she has a weapon, they're gonna know it's me who gave it to her, and then I'm gonna have to suffer those repercussions.
It's what stops me from being incriminated.
Yeah. The pill is still gonna be relevant though. I'm just not sure how. You guys have any ideas in the predictions maybe?
I feel like somehow she's gonna stuff it down somebody's mouth. I don't know. Like she's gonna try and put it. Even if she played it off and stayed at the camp and then brought Negan a meal one day and put that in, open it up and put it in his meal. I don't know.
I'm curious to see once Eugene realizes that she's not out, he's gonna be like, where is it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I wonder.
It's kind of a hard question to ask somebody of like, hey, why didn't you kill yourself last night?
Right.
Yeah, right. And like, what are you gonna do with that pill? Are you gonna get me in trouble? Because I think he's like,
can I get it back?
Right.
Yeah. Give me a back. So he gives the pill, and that's pretty much where that ends. And then the final moment in the episode is we find out back at Alexandria that Dwight is there, and Rosita's been keeping him, I guess, captive to some degree.
Yeah, that was the cell that they kept the wolf in and stuff like that.
I wonder, so he must have said to her, it's fine, I'll peacefully go back with you and you can lock me up. I just want to talk to your group when they return. Right? And that's how she got him in.
I wish I could have seen that, though.
I know, the conversation. Me too.
And the walk back.
I almost feel like you don't need it. Yeah. I feel like it's one of those that we wouldn't have gotten anything meaningful out of it.
Yeah.
Because we're still getting to that point.
Well, we got what we needed. We got Derrial going after him because when Derrial saw him in that cell, he was going in. I wanted him just to have like 30 seconds, just punch him one time.
Derrial want to be like, you're stealing my gimmick, man.
Right? And my vest. And my crossbow.
Right.
Yeah. So that literally, it's like Rick's like, oh, you want to help us? Okay, great. Get on your knees. But we do see in scenes from the next week's episode that he hasn't done anything lethal. So I guess that's just to find out how serious he really is. Can he do it with a gun in his face? I wonder. I've never had a gun put anywhere near my head ever. I imagine
that's a good thing.
I imagine none of you ever have. I've watched enough television and movies that I'm so familiar with the way that works. I feel like I've seen it 1,000 times.
So you feel like it's happened?
And all of these characters that I know and love, I've seen it happen to them. So you're just sort of like, I wonder like how truthful you really are with like on your knees with a gun to your head. Like I wonder how much more of truth telling does that inspire you to be?
Yeah, I've never had a gun in my head. I've had a knife pulled on me, but I've never had a gun in my head. Yeah.
Were you truthful?
I went into like fight mode. Yeah, I was trying to survive.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was an attempted robbery, so that's like.
Snaps, but it wasn't. They didn't succeed.
They did not succeed.
Oh, nice.
No, they did not turn me into a walker.
You'd be Rick if we were in it right now. That's proof.
That's right.
So
I'll take that.
Yeah, but so that conversation happens, and and Dwight now I guess is on the good side, we think, unless it's a double cross. I really like Dwight. So when you talk about that conversation, I kind of wanted to see the conversation for two reasons. One, I feel like Rosita hit her breaking point, so I feel like she's going to be less of a one note like bitch, which is like what I felt like for a while she's been on the show. She's just been like really mean and just super snappy and just like doesn't seem to want to be alive and really obnoxious. And I feel like she broke a little bit with the Sasha stuff. I mean, we haven't seen it, but I'm expecting the next time we see her, she's going to be a little bit more balanced. And I like Dwight. I would have liked to have seen the conversation between the two of them.
Well, I mean, you also have to think of it from a TV writing perspective, too. It's a better cliffhanger if you don't see this earlier in the episode thing and you get the big reveal that buttons up what happened at the end of last episode.
Yeah.
So from a writing perspective, I got that.
We'll get some more of it next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think, that's pretty much where we leave off. Should we get into predictions and comic book spoilers?
Yeah.
Great.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Boom. All right. So, I guess as far as deaths go, this is always a good one we start with towards the end of a season. It seems pretty likely that Sasha's dead. I feel like she's dead next week. I can't really see them. I guess they could leave us with a cliffhanger because we're going to an off season and she could go film her new show and she could still be a character for next season. It's so close to the end of the season that maybe that's what they decided to do. But I think she's probably dead. And I wouldn't be surprised if Eric is also dead.
Here's the thing. Right now, knowing that it's an episode that's going to be an hour and 25 minutes or so, I'm worried it's going to be the same way that the previous season ended. I'm worried that the episode is build.
That's kind of the way I'm feeling.
First shot is fired and you don't see the repercussion of that shot, or maybe it's like I'll save that to the comic book spoiler part actually. But there's going to be something that happens that we see a death, but it's not from one of the two major sides.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But that's my concern, is that it's a very build episode that has this big climactic gunshot, and that's my worry.
I have a prediction that I will share in our comic book spoilers.
Okay.
I'm still going to go with Rosita. I was thinking originally Sasha and Rosita, but now I'm starting to kind of think that maybe Sasha, it might be some lingering things going on where she won't die next week, and we will see her again, at least for the first episode of the next season, because of the fact to me it's almost like such an obvious build that she would die next week.
Yeah, that she has the suicide
that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. This whole time I've been saying, Sasha, she's going to go. But because they've been talking about it so much, and it's like, it wouldn't be as exciting if she went. So maybe Rosita, because she's been such a strong storyline lately.
Yeah.
Like, they've been talking about her a lot. So maybe they built her up to, take her away from us. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
And in a weird way, at first I was going to say Eugene, too, because it would be a weird, interesting twist to kill Eugene for some. But I still think there's more time of what they want to do with him, especially with the pill and all that stuff. So we got a little bit more with him.
You also haven't had everybody learn how to make a bullet yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like after this story wraps itself up, whenever that does happen, that's going to be a part of the rebuilding of society, is making their own ammunition again.
Yeah.
And I think you need him to still exist for that to be a thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about Gregory?
F that guy.
He's gotta go.
He might die next week.
He could die next week.
I think he's around a little longer.
Me too,
though.
maybe.
Yeah.
I think for him, you need to have a moment where he tries to take out Maggie explicitly.
Yeah.
And that's what leads to him going off.
I would love that.
According to Dante Farish, says that AMC says there will be no cliffhangers, but then they said that they lie. That's what Dante said.
I don't think that they're going to give us as explicit. I don't think they're going to give us as explicit a cliffhanger this time as they have the last couple times, for two reasons. One,
the audience freaked the F out.
Yeah. The audience freaked out, and I think that they knew with how crazy the audience was, and then the reaction to the second half season premiere, or I guess it was just the season premiere.
Season premiere, yeah.
Right?
Season premiere.
The season premiere. The reaction to that was so polarizing.
I mean, it was polarizing for two. There were two reasons that was polarizing. One was the decision of how it was done, and one was the matter of how gory it was. And people are saying, like, I watched this show with my kids, and that was the freak out on it.
I think they're gonna hedge their
I think
bets.
it was the combination of the two that made it that drastic.
I think they'll hedge their bets. I don't think they're gonna give us anything that's groundbreaking like that, but I think that they might give us something that's like wraps it up a little bit and sets up for like what is going to be the war next season. I think that we will see something relevant. So my specific predictions are that Gregory goes to the Savior's compound.
Yep.
He alerts Negan what's going on with Maggie. Sasha basically can't. He's like, Negan tries to use Sasha effectively, and that Sasha is the death that is like that's like the big moment at the end of the episode. I think that Sasha's gonna die because I think Rick and the whole group is gonna like basically march on the compound, and I think there's going to be like some, behind the fence kind of back and forth. And I think basically the execution of Sasha, to me, is what I'm expecting is the big moment at the end of the episode.
Yeah. Well, didn't it look from the preview that it was lined up outside of Alexandria? I couldn't tell. I kind of got the impression it was Alexandria. I might be wrong.
Okay. Should we go to comic book spoilers? Yeah. Guys, let's do our quick sign-off. Thank you for watching. We're going to go into a specific comic book discussion for like a minute or two. Just stuff if you don't want to know about it, where it comes from, and turn it off.
Spoiler alert!
But in the meantime, if you want to find me personally, you can find me at Ben Bateman Media on Twitter or Instagram. And I'm doing a brand new thing on this app called Anchor, which is podcast meets Twitter. It's awesome. Download it. I have a Magic the Gathering show and a daily movie news show. It's awesome. Anchor. It's a great app.
The John Carle on Twitter and Instagram, and Whiskey and Waffles on YouTube.
You can find me at Susannah_Kim, SUSANNAH_KIM. I also cover Scorpion and Speechless here at AfterBuzz.
You can find me on all social media platforms, Derrial Christon, DerrialChriston, and our sister company, Black Hollywood Live.
Sweet. All right, we're going to get into spoilers, guys. So this is your last chance. Turn off your phone or your YouTube, whatever you're going to do. So I talked about this, and we disagreed on this last week, but somebody definitely does get thrown over the edge.
It wasn't that we disagreed, I just couldn't remember.
I feel like maybe Gregory tries to kill Maggie and then has to run away. Mm-hmm. You think he gets hanged, though?
I couldn't remember what happened. Now, knowing that he's already gone to, in my mind, he has gone to the Savior's compound, I think he starts to get, too comfortable, and maybe that gets turned around. Something with, now I'm blanking on the name. Was it Spencer?
Yeah, the guy with the stomach, or?
Oh, no, not Spencer. Simon. Sorry, Simon. Yeah.
I can see something like that happening. I sort of just think, like, my guess is that whole image of kicking someone off the building, like from a top floor, and having them fall down in front of everyone, is Sasha. I think Sasha's going to get kicked off the building at the end of the episode in front of Rick and everyone.
Interesting.
And I think that might even be like the end of the episode, is like a shot to the head and her falling.
Right.
Or something like that.
I mean, even though I said it as a possibility of who may have been the one that's alerted it, and I'm saying Dwight was playing both sides of it, knowing how pivotal Dwight is in the comic, in the whole how do we take down the Saviors and stuff like that, I really do think he's converted over to the side of Angels effectively.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I mean, and as far as Eugene goes, you mentioned the bullet making. That is an important point in the comic books later on. Yep. I don't think that Eugene gets taken out, but that's pretty much about all there is to really talk about.
Yeah,
comic book wise, we're starting to get close to the big war.
Yeah. It's just going to be
like all-out battle next week.
Yeah, so. It's going to be interesting to see how much of that battle happens, because it's effectively one fight that decides it. It's not a series of pitch battles and ongoing stuff. It all comes down to one fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sweet.
And I don't want to spoil that, because if it goes the way it does in the comic books, it's a very meaningful scene.
Big time.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will be back next week. I won't actually be here. I'm going to be gone. I'm out of town. But
it's messed up, Ben.
The finale is next week. I know, what a horrible episode to miss. I will see you guys never. No, I'll see you guys again. I'm all around AfterBuzz. Hit me up on Twitter at Ben Bateman Media, but enjoy the finale, and I'll be following along with these guys. Bye, everybody.
Cool. See you guys.
Peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.